lovelies, and welcome to this week's video. I shouldn't keep saying week because I've been so busy, but I mean, you guys who've watched me for a long time know I have a very busy life. Like, I have my business, which I hope all of you check out and follow, and I have 2 kids, single mom, and then I had just finished grad school a year ago, and there's a lot going on right now. So yeah, thank you for staying with me. So today we are going to be doing a video that I've wanted to do for a very long time, a couple of years actually, but I never got around to it. So I'm just gonna wing it and let's do it. So the Empress, the Empress archetype. I've always been very drawn to just the imagery of the Empress, even the lady in the Druidcraft deck, which is the deck that I tend to use most often when I do readings, just because it's the one I'm most connected to. But I had an Empress pillow as well, which I'm not going to get into what happened to that. But, so the Empress, I mean, just look at that before we get into this. Right here, the feminine symbol, which obviously also can translate into a feminist when you put the, yeah. But, I mean, the whole imagery is just beautiful. And, I also connect with the High Priestess, and I think I'm starting to evolve into a High Priestess energy. But we should not forget the Empress archetype and energy. I mean, this is like Gaia, or just, the Earth Mother, the Earth Goddess energy. It's the divine feminine, and in some ways fulfills what our society sees as feminine, but really not fully, because of the strength aspect of it as well. But the feminine energy that all of us should really have within us, but in a powerful, strong way, is the best way to put it, right? So typically, like, if we're just talking about the card, it depicts, this strong, like I said, it's not just what we say as societal feminine qualities, which are like, emotional, nurturing, just sensitive to things. It's not this strong, intelligent, stands up for their beliefs, assertive, aggressive person. That's not what society tells us is feminine. But she kind of has all of it, right? So we have this strong, feminine, confident woman, who's, coming from this realm of intuition, of, emotion, creativity, nurturing, and healing, which are, of course, the things that our society puts in that binary. But it's, remember, a strong, confident, feminine energy with these aspects, right? Like, she knows the power of when to surrender, and she also carries the magic and not illusion, but just energy of being your own expression, being independent and creative. She's the divine feminine that's within all of us, regardless of your gender identity. She represents the divine feminine within us. All right. So right now, within our society, I should say like Western society, because I don't know where all my viewers are from, but that energy is severely oppressed. And I think it is in most of the world right now. We don't really have that many matriarchal or just even paved societies at the moment. And that's why we have the environmental destruction, like, the destruction of the earth, why we have so much hate, oppression, and anger, so much war. And that even though I myself am very fluid and I have a lot of masculine qualities that tend to show a lot more when you talk to me, like I can get very assertive, very, the divine feminine is so much more than that. And, it's not about ego and power. In fact, it's the opposite. So the message of the Empress really has never been as important as it should be right now. I'll talk a little bit about my own country, and I try not to get on politics. I know I did a couple of years ago, but I try not to on this channel, and it's really difficult for me because I am a very, very political and philosophical person. But in America, we just voted out whether he wants to admit it or not, and I'm sorry if any of the people watching this video are, still in the belief that Trump won, or that was fraud, or something of that nature. And I'm gonna say the likelihood of fraud, and this is coming from somebody that is an anti-state, okay? Never mind, I'm not gonna get into it. So, right now, I live in a country where, even though I'm not pro-state, I prefer democratic socialism to what I currently have, but I'm not, again, do not unsubscribe or subscribe due to my politics. All I'm saying is we live in a society right now where a Supreme Court justice that was very, very, very vital to many of the women's rights that we have right now as people that identify as women, whether it be sex or gender, okay? And, like abortion rights, equal pay, all these different things, a lot of things regarding childcare, etc. And he's replaced, the president, replaced her and other court justices that have left with these extreme radical Christians that want to take away a lot of these rights, including the female he just put in to replace RGB. And we had elected 4 years ago a president that was a known misogynist, sexist, transphobic, homophobic, racist person, and had numerous rape allegations against him, including underage, along with, and this is who we put in. And it was up against a woman. And so right now, more than ever, we really do need this, because we still, as women, as queer people of color, etc., still have some basic rights that we may not have had a couple hundred years ago, at least in written law form. But that does not mean that societal law has accepted those laws, if that makes sense. There's a difference between legal and societal and cultural. And that is what's going on right now, is we are in a cultural war. We really need this. It's great, having that masculine aspect that represents individuality and action. But on some note, we do need, if not more so, at least right now, or in concerns to our earth, is the other side, which is a very healing, nurturing, caring, empathetic energy, right? And if we had both within the whole world kind of balanced out, it would be even optimal, because then you'd have whatever, or to have a leader that has a balance of both of those type of energies. The Empress Archetype is the woman who stands in her sovereign power. So she's a voice for good. She is the voice of those that are unheard. She rules with grace and poise. And ironically, since society likes to put rationality and logic with men, or the masculine archetype, she rules with rationality and emotional intelligence at once. She leads people with love and compassion, and not hate and war and just destruction is the best way I can put it. She is not only this mother, queen, goddess type, but she's also a seductress. And this is what I'm getting at. It's not just the normal idea of what feminine is. She's a seductress and a warrior. She has warrior energy. It's just not this destructive warrior energy. It's fighting for those that are oppressed. So fighting for those that are oppressed, she's very communal. So instead of individualistic, she's very communal. She wants to build community. Has a vision. She's a visionary. She's charismatic. She's strong. She knows who she is at the core. Every aspect of her being, she knows and accepts and loves regardless. And she stands strong in that knowledge and that acceptance of who she is, what she's had to deal with in the past, and what there could be to come, and stand strong. And going back to the ego, I said, like, with the masculine, there tends to be this overdriven ego and power drive. With her, it's that the ego has essentially dissipated, and not just dissipated, but dissolved and reformatted itself into humility and a purity of heart. So again, going back to that love versus hate and love versus fear aspect, and it's empowering. It's not power and control. It's not power over people. It's about empowering yourself and those around you. That is the Empress. Her heart is completely open and empathetic and pours out, and she trusts and is not afraid of being hurt anymore. And that goes back to the acceptance of what has happened in the past and what could happen in the future. You just accept it. That hurt is part of the process that, unfortunately, many of us have to, if not all of us, have to deal with, especially those that are oppressed. We know what we have to deal with. And obviously there are groups of people that are way more oppressed than me. I'm just a poor, not poor, but, well, yeah. I am right now, momentarily, due to circumstances, poor. But I'm somebody that, even though I'll be in a profession while still doing this at my business, as a counselor, I have tons and tons of debt because, again, by class and by gender identity, as well as my biological sex and my sexuality, am oppressed. I am half native, but it's obviously not passing. I obviously got my mom's genes. But I know that there are people out there that are a lot more oppressed. But as the divine feminine energy, you will stand for all that are oppressed. And that goes back to my statement I made a few years ago about intersectional feminism. That is what the Empress is about. Intersectionality. The empowerment of not just women, but of all who are oppressed by the patriarchal, corrupt, ego-based system that we currently are living in. So, she is filled with infinite love. Going back to that, it's all about love. She's filled with infinite love. She flows. She lets it flow through her. She gives it. She receives it. She serves, and she's served in return. It's mutual respect, mutual, everything. That goes back to that more of like the communal aspect versus the individualistic. So going back to sovereignty, which we really haven't left because I'm still kind of on it. So she is about sovereignty. So she's not about domination or rulership over others, but an authority and a master of your own life while empowering yourself and others and working for a better world if they are in power. If the Empress energy happens to be what's in power, to try and save and bring back to life things that have been destroyed or killed. So there's a deep connection to femininity, nature. It comes out in beauty, sensuality, fertility, creative expression, and nurturing, the basic feminine principles. But it also comes back, I'm going to keep repeating this part, it also comes out in seductress, in warrior, in strength, in empowerment, in basically being a fighter for themselves and for others that are being hurt and oppressed by the same system. A way to try and describe the Empress energy, because again, the Empress or the Lady is so much associated with the fertility and the motherhood, which there's nothing wrong with that. That's just an aspect of it. But to kind of showcase and give examples of what this looks like when you are embracing the Empress is, think of that woman, right, who somehow worked her ass off to get higher up in life, may have decided to have kids, may have not decided to have kids, but she is just has this strong energy, and she's intimidating, but in a good way, right? She knows her self-worth. She knows what she should and should not stand for in life. She is grounded, yet she's intuitive, right? She's self-assured. She could be just like a mentor of yours that you've had. She could have been a professor you had, or a teacher that you've had. Everyone can probably think back and think of that woman that is just like, holy shit, I want to be her, right? Like, I want to be this woman. She has like all this power. She is beautiful. She is strong. She does not give two shits about what anyone else thinks. I think one example could be, even, and this goes away from that idea of motherhood, but I'm not a big Sex and the City fan, but this is what came to my mind, but like Samantha from Sex and the City. But, she also is that woman that kicks ass and has kids and is a single mom and is putting herself through school, or is just working 3 jobs, whatever it is she's doing, just to get by and make sure her kids are taken care of and she is taken care of. And yet she doesn't seem overwhelmed in the slightest, because why? My life is good. She has that energy of abundance, and she can bring it to other people. She's a witch. She's a goddess. She's magic. That's the Empress energy. And like I said, yeah, sometimes I feel like I'm starting to go back go in towards this High Priestess energy, which will be a one in the future. But the Empress, there's still just something about the Empress where it's this, it's more than just that divine feminine. It's this magic, right? Like, she has the full power. Okay, there's a duality. It's not just this weak, sensitive woman who has kids and bows down to her husband. No. When you look at this image, you see a queen. You see a goddess. You see the mother of all mothers, the goddess of the earth, right? Like, that is what I see. I see a strong-ass bitch. I don't get ads, so I don't care. So how do we activate that? How do we draw upon that? I mean, there's so many ways. There's ways that we can just, if you have tarot cards, where you can just connect and do a ritual with the Empress herself. There's meditations, obviously. You can just do a full ritual for the Empress, and it's all for that, and it's to call it upon you. You can, the reason you'd want to is to become deeply rooted in your own power and being, and no longer trying to prove yourself capable or prove yourself to others, or worry about what other people think, or deny your own power. It's time to like build your own empire, whether that be, a business, or your household, leading your household, an activist movement, which I used to be an organizer. And I think that is probably when I carried this energy the most, more like, besides right now. Right now, I've been bringing that energy on like crazy. I've been calling upon Lilith, Hecate, Demeter, and now Medusa. I am in that same place. But when I was an activist and I was leading things, man, even if it was just a couple people, it feels, you feel that power, and it's not power in the sense of like power and control or like, you know, politicians. It's this empowerment within yourself when you're fighting for yourself and others. Like I always was telling people that whenever I go through stuff, the way I need to heal is through advocacy. So you could do that. It could be that a mixture, all of those things, that you need to bring that energy in so that you can build that empire, that you can have it all. No one can tell you you can't have it all, because damn it, the Empress, she's got it all. So it's about choosing the life you want. So another way too is just simple like shadow work or journaling or rituals to let go of any baggage and blockages that make you feel unworthy, or people, cutting ties and binding with people that make you feel lesser than, or enable that. Like you might already be somebody like myself who's highly anxious and gets in your head sometimes and puts yourself down in an irrational way, and we then start worrying about what other people think, and our self-worth is low. And then there's those people in our lives that enable that. So get rid of those people. It's just like a full cleanse of cutting ties of all these negative thoughts. And I'm sure you can look up tons of Empress, like actual rituals themselves. But personally, when it comes to the Empress, like usually I put like ritual ideas down below. But personally for the Empress, I think each person, the way that they have to call upon the Empress, it's going to be special and personalized and individualistic to their own personal needs. Like, is it the full archetype of the Empress that you need to call upon? Or is it just a portion of it? Like, what is it that you need from the Empress? Do you want the full Empress? Do you want to bring out your Empress archetype out of you? Or do you just want to call upon her to help heal you and nurture you in a sad and bad time in your life? So that's just a random video on the Empress that I just let flow. I just let myself go. I didn't script this one. I'm not cutting. I might cut some pauses where I'm trying to think of what I want to say next. But I'm trying to be even more real. Like, I know my video quality is not the greatest as I use my broken iPhone. But I try to give real info. And that's why I'm being like a little careful with when I decide to do this Medusa one, because I want to make sure I hit everything I want to. So I'm going to have to find time in my busy schedule to write it all out. But, you know what? I feel like the videos, once I started really scripting them, I kind of lost that familiarity, and I became a little more of that dry intellectual side of me, and that's not how it's going to go. From now on, it's going to be a little more flow, a little more chill, and a little more lax. So with that, please check out my business. Contact me for any tarot readings or intuitive tarot, and try and find and bring out that inner Empress within you. And you do not have to identify as a female or anything like that in order to bring it out. So with that, I love you, and I'll see you next time. Bye.